So I just had a conversation with a Strong Writing Blueprint client, and it's the first conversation that we kind of go over everything, and they just tell me anything and everything that they can think of as far as their likes, dislikes, preferences, routines. Like basically, I just want to know everything I can about them from as many perspectives and angles as possible, so that when we start to build a plan, it's specific to them, not, hey, this is what worked for me, so you should do that. Because that's why most plans don't work. They're trying to force you into something that someone else does, not taking into account anything about you, right? So we're having this conversation, and I really like to use the analogy of GPS, which is like, there's a couple of components to make that work, which is for a GPS to get you to your destination, you've got to have a destination. You got to be clear on the destination. You got to have a starting location, right? If you don't know where you are on the map, it's really kind of pointless. Like if I give you a set of instructions, directions on how to get to New York, and you're in San Diego, but my directions are from Montana to South Carolina, it doesn't, or even from South Carolina to New York, or Montana to New York, it doesn't actually help you, right? So it's got to take into account, where are you now? And you have to start where you are now. So once you have those pieces, then you have the turn by turn, right? Like, okay, the GPS for us luckily will course correct and reroute every time we make a turn. And so even if we make a quote unquote wrong turn, it figures out what is the next best direction, right? And reroutes you. Now, the one thing that as we were talking, that came up was, what's actually even more important than all of those things? Like, those obviously are very important, but you could have all those ingredients and still not really get what you want. How would that be? Well, if you arrive at your destination and you're pissed off or you don't feel good, and the whole reason you were going there was you thought you were going to feel good when you got there, then did you really accomplish what you set out to do, right? My good friend Jared Hamilton reminded me of an analogy that I always like, which is, if when you're going on a let's say you're going to a party or an event with your significant other, and then along the way, you get into an argument and you become angry or unhappy or sad or mad, you don't show up to the party and instantly just feel good. You feel the emotion you felt while you were going, right? So the point of that is, you don't get a happy ending to an unhappy journey, right? It seems very obvious, but when you break it down to your own personal experience, you know that it's very difficult when you arrive at the location to just kind of like snap back into just feeling good. So in this situation, you can have the destination, you can arrive at the destination and still feel like crap, and so then you didn't ever really accomplish what you set out to do, which is to feel good. And the only reason we want to be anything or do anything or go anywhere or have anything is because we think we'll feel good when we do or be or have or go, right? One of my favorite things from Abraham Hicks is that idea. So then, now, even more so than those ingredients, what becomes most important okay, I'll circle back. We had to set the stage there. What's more important to all of this is the state of the driver. The state of the driver is more important than all of that, right? Now, here's what I mean. You ever been in the car with a easily freaked out driver or easily angered driver? It's not a fun ride. It's not an enjoyable ride. There's a likelihood that you might get into an accident. There's a likelihood that they'll make the ride unnecessarily unenjoyable so that when you get there, you're like, it's a similar thing. Like you might get into an argument because the person's freaking out, and you're like, why are you freaking out? Like, just relax. And then that leads to an argument, and you get to your destination, and now you feel shitty, right? So the state of the driver is most important because you will arrive at the destination. You may arrive at the destination, but you might not feel good. So, and the ride will suck. So now we've all been in the car with somebody who, like, either when somebody is just has road rage and they're like, oh, what the fuck, like, you learn how to fucking drive. Like, that's not fun to be around, and it's definitely not fun to be. Like, these people can say whatever they want, but they're not feeling good when they're yelling and screaming, right? So now take another example of a driver. Like, I put myself in this category. I'm a pretty if you know me, I'm a pretty chill, relaxed person. Like somebody cuts me off, like it doesn't really register anymore. Like I don't really care. Like it doesn't bother me. I can sit in traffic. It doesn't bother me. I don't get worked up from these things. So now, and I might be, maybe the other person is upset, and I can still be relaxed. And so my state as the driver is always feeling good, right, or feeling pleasant. And so now that is what is most important, because if I'm in the car with my wife and something happens and I'm driving and I get annoyed that she told me, like, maybe she gets upset about the way that I'm driving or why I'm doing a certain thing or taking a certain direction. Well, and I'll tell you from experience, in the past, when people tell me what to do when I'm driving, it would annoy me or irritate me or in some cases make me angry, and then it would make for a crappy ride and then a crappy experience when we arrive at the destination. Because the emotions from the ride, they move into the emotions at the destination. And compare that to now, if I choose to be calm and have equanimity, right? Evenness of temper, um, and I don't just emotionally react or respond to what's happening, then a lot of times that I can diffuse the situation or just be thoughtful and understanding of the person and talk about it and not freak out, or, if I take a wrong turn, the easily freaked out driver, if they make a wrong turn, they're like, oh shit, oh my god, ah. Whereas if I make a wrong turn, it's like, okay, well, we can make a U-turn down there, or we can make another, or the GPS says make a left up here, so it's actually not that big of a deal. Added 20 seconds to our travel time. Even if it adds 5 minutes to our travel time, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. So, my point being, that person will have an enjoyable experience, a more pleasant experience, even upon arrival, and of course during the journey or the driving. So the state of the driver is as important, if not more important. I would say it's actually the most important thing, um, even more so than having. And once that's there, like, you of course you need to know where the destination is. You need to know where you are right now, and then you need to be able to course correct along the way. But this fourth piece, I think, is something that we don't really talk about in these GPS analogies or car analogies. It's like the state of the driver is actually the most important thing. And so something to consider, like maybe you got a goal, so you know where you're going and you know where you are and you all this other stuff, but maybe you have no equanimity, meaning when something happens, you have an emotional response to it right away and you react to that. Versus with equanimity, something happens, it brings about a bunch of emotions, you just give yourself some space and time before you respond, and you never get too high and you never get too low, right? So very, very important idea. Let me know if that makes sense, if that resonates. As always, tag me on Instagram with a key takeaway or whatever, or you can just message me at ranbir.sanghera. Um, and still getting ready for the enchilada workshop. So enchiladaworkshop.com. You can register there. I think it's like $9 or something, like $18 or something like that. Sign up for that. That'll be coming out. If you register and sign up, like I'll send out I'll send some information about it, and it's gonna be good. Enchilada workshop. It's how to lose fat and get shredded while eating enchiladas every day. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later, or I'll talk to you later, because there's not a bunch of people sitting around listening to this. It's just you. So anyways, I'll catch you in the next episode.